So nice to see you, Mark. Great to have you on this morning. I want to start with Mariupol. Given the widespread destruction we're seeing there, how confident are you that investigators can effectively gather any evidence of possible war crimes? The place is in ruins.
Well, it is a challenge, and that's why Ukraine needs help. They are looking to conduct their own investigations into these war crime violations, and forensic exploitation of those sites is critical, and the interview of witnesses is critical for any accountability that we hope to have for these war crimes.
Ukrainian authorities unveiled their first war crime charges against members of Russia's military Thursday. What's the significance of making those charges public at this point, some 2 months into this crisis?
Well, what Ukraine is doing, what they have an opportunity to do, is teach the world that we needn't abandon the rule of law when conduct becomes hellish. And so, what the Office of Prosecutor General is trying to do is set an example and to show that even under an existential threat, the government of Ukraine is able to operate under the rule of law and avoid some of the pitfalls that we had post 9/11 in the fury that we had after those attacks.
So speaking of learning those lessons, you write this in a recent op-ed with some of your colleagues, quote, Ukraine will be a proving ground for the proposition that a nation victimized by an aggressor can be capable of fairly meting out justice. You know, Mark, if Ukraine manages to get this right, and you've talked to the top prosecutor there, talk about the message that it would send the world, and what are some of the lessons learned already, you think?
Well, the lessons we've learned from 9/11 are what they're trying to apply there. Yuri Belosov, who is the chief prosecutor, lead prosecutor for human rights violations, was on an 80-person advisory council of the Mendes Principles on Effective Interviewing, which was a 4-year process to try to come up with a universal standard for the manner in which that we interview suspects, whether they be in the intelligence capacity or in the law enforcement capacity. So Yuri well knows that in able to put somebody in jail and to hold somebody accountable, you cannot stoop to their levels. Russia is involved in terrorism. You don't match that tactic with a tactic. You match that tactic with a strategy. And the strategy is about accountability and maintaining your own dignity during this terrible time in Ukraine.
Do you think that message is getting through, though, to people on the ground? Obviously, the prosecutors are not the ones, that first meet a suspect or a POW, for instance. Do you think the folks there on the ground understand how careful they have to be in these types of situations?
I think they need training. I think we need a comprehensive strategy in order to ensure that the people who first come in contact with prisoners
Right.
understand that it's a continuum, and that their actions or activities could actually interfere with the end result. And that's why we have people in Guantanamo 20 years after the September 11th attacks that have yet to be brought to justice, and others in indefinite detention without trials in the fourth presidential administration that we've had. So they need to avoid the mistakes that we have made.
Yeah, and hopefully they will see those past cases and ways to try to avoid some of those pitfalls. Mark Fallon, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Appreciate your insight, sir.
Thanks for having me on.